everybody, what's up? Sadly, we have reached the end of this mini vlog series that I was running. I do have some exciting new ideas for what's to come in terms of vlogging and also interviewing other people, so stay tuned for that. I'm really excited. But in this week's episode, I really want to share with you guys 5 things that I prioritized during university while I was studying in my early 20s, which really set the tone and the foundation for the rest of my 20s. So let's just get into it. The first one is to work out what skills you really enjoy doing while you're at university. And the way that I went about doing this was to get a part-time job. I actually had 3 part-time jobs. I worked at a pizza shop, I worked in retail, and I also worked as a babysitter. I did this during my first year and I actually saved up quite a lot of money from doing that. And then I started to look for other opportunities. I was actually studying my undergrad in psychology, so I went to see if there were any jobs that I could work that related to this field. And I ended up finding this part-time casual gig as a behavioral technician using applied behavioral analysis therapy. It's a type of evidence-based therapy for kids on the spectrum. And that was an amazing experience. I actually quit my other part-time jobs after that. I worked solely in this job, and then I actually ended up working full-time in it. I dropped uni for a little while, focused on this. I ended up getting a promotion. I sort of worked my way up, and then I went back to uni full-time, and by like my 3rd year in psychology, I was, studying psychology full-time, but on the side, I'd worked my way up to a manager's position. So I was actually managing teams of therapists. I was teaching them skills, training them up, and also for myself, I was getting a much better sense of what skills I really enjoyed using in the workplace and what skills that I didn't enjoy as much. So finding a job, any job, even if it doesn't relate to the industry that you want to get into, I just think it's one of the most helpful things you can do in terms of working out what soft skills you really enjoy using in terms of your career path. It really helps you get some clarity on this front. Number 2 is to start learning more about your body. Pre-university, I wasn't particularly focused on my physical health because I had an amazing metabolism. That all changed during the first year in my undergrad when I started pulling all-nighters to get pieces of assessment done. I started to eat a lot of chocolate to cope with the stress, and I noticed that I wasn't doing anything to help myself, and as a result, I wasn't losing any weight. And that had never been the case in the past. Looking back, I'm actually really glad I went through that process, that learning curve, when I was young, because it forced me to start learning how to take care of my body. It was like simple things that I started teaching myself how to do. Like, I started to increase my fruit and vegetable intake, and a big one was actually cutting out the processed foods from my diet. I started to actually teach myself how to cook. I discovered the Happy Pear, which are these really cool Irish twins. Go check out their stuff. I followed their recipes. They inspired me, and I just kind of found my groove with health. I started going to the gym a lot, and it became a bit of my identity, and I learned so much through this whole experience. To this day, when I'm starting to see myself slipping a bit, I'm like, okay, time to get back into those healthy habits. So it really set me up for this whole foundation. The next thing that I would recommend doing is to study a short course or an elective course overseas if you can. One of the best, most exciting trips that I ever went on was this summer course in Vietnam for anthropology. Initially, I had no idea how I was going to afford this trip, and it just seemed like too big of an overwhelming thing to go out and do. But when I discovered that you could actually take out a loan, at least in Australia you can do this, which is then added to your uni debt. I'm gonna leave a link to that information actually down below. That really changed the game for me because, that took care of the financial side of things. So then it was just a matter of kind of facing my fears with all the unknowns, because it was confusing to organize and I really didn't have any idea what to expect. I'd never traveled to Asia before. I went there as part of this tiny cohort. I didn't really know anybody. no idea what I was doing, and we started off in Hoi An. We got to meet a lot of the local people, and we got to learn the methodology and start practicing research. It was a really hands-on experience, so we got to actually try out this skill set and just immerse ourselves in this completely different culture. And then we spent some time up in the highlands in a really remote part of Vietnam that not many tourists even really get to go to. And it just, like, it completely took me out of my comfort zone. I was trying all these new things, having all these new crazy experiences with a group of students that were also sharing it with me as well. So we sort of, it was a great bonding time, and we really got to know each other over this trip and create these really special memories. So go and check out the Oz Help Loan down below, and also go and check out what short summer courses or electives your university is doing overseas, because there are just so many opportunities out there, and really like a really special experience to give yourself. Next up, work really hard on your study. When I look back at my undergrad, I am so grateful that there was so much pressure on psychology students to try and get a distinction average. At the time, it was incredibly stressful. The competition was fierce, and I was always worrying about my GPA. So don't get me wrong, it wasn't always easy. However, it was pushing me, it was molding me to always be trying my best with my work. And this kind of skill and this resilience is what has actually set me up for success in a lot of other areas in my life. If there is something that I really care about, like a job or a hobby or a goal, I'm gonna put my best foot forward. I'm gonna treat it like I have an audience watching me, like they're gonna give me a grade, and I'm gonna try my very best to produce something that I'm proud of. And it does not mean that I'm always perfect. Like, as an example, there are so many YouTube videos that I look back on and I just think, oh my gosh, you could have done a much better job with that. But the skill of always trying to put my best foot forward, usually in self-imposed deadlines, has just taught me to take a lot of pride and care with my work, try my absolute best, and just get things done and get things out there. And number 5, personally, this one is my favorite. It's to go out there during your undergrad and have some crazy, spontaneous experiences. I am so glad that I made some time for this while I was at uni, even though I did spend a lot of it in the library. I'm really glad that I let myself fall in love with my best friend and we got to experience that together. It didn't work out, but it really shaped us as people. I'm also glad that I got a tattoo on my left foot of an arrow, which is kind of cliche, but it's a long story. I am so glad that I tried out some cool hobbies like running or getting into hiking, where I actually met a group of really cool ladies who became some lifelong friends. I am so glad I made a blog, and I'm so glad I then went on and made a YouTube channel. It still actually exists to this day, and I had so much fun making it back then. It's got all the original videos for my vlog series about university over there, so go and check that out after this if you would like. And finally, I'm really glad that I spent a big chunk of my savings on this very random trip around Europe, where I made some really special memories. These are the stories that kind of make me who I am today, that sort of set the tone for my 20s. And I'm also really conscious that a lot of these things come from a place of privilege, because not a lot of people get to go to university or get to go and travel or try out these things. We are so lucky to have these experiences and opportunities. And I think, if you're in this place and you can try out these things, it's your responsibility to work really hard, to put your best foot forward, and to use all of this to work out how you can be a force for good in this world. That's just how I like to look at it. So I hope that really, I hope that helps, especially if you're still at uni. I hope this is like a bit of a springboard to give you some ideas for, how to use your time there. These are the things that I'm really, really glad I did that set me up for the rest of my 20s. So yeah, I hope it was helpful. And yeah, definitely go and check out my old blog, check out some of the stuff I mentioned down below, and maybe I'll see you in another one of my videos. Enjoy the rest of your day. Bye.